What is up, YouTube? My name would be OG Nick Marsh. This is Focus Hip Hop, and today, alright, I just finished listening to Eminem's latest album, The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grâce. Came out yesterday, I guess, Friday, July 12th. I wasn't expecting to make this video, but I knew I had to talk about the album, and I really didn't want to write out a whole full review because I just can't bring myself to write about 19 songs from Eminem in 2024, and I figured just doing a quick video would be easier. I've been putting off or avoiding doing video reviews for about 10 years at this point. I don't think that's really going to change anytime soon, unless it's a situation like this where I don't have the motivation to write a full review, really. So yeah, I'm just going to get into it. I did not like this album. Probably not a surprise, considering the fact that I don't think Eminem has had a good album since 2002. This album, however, I will say, is the only Eminem album in history where I have not liked a single track. So that's how I feel about it. I thought it was really, really bad. It wasn't terrible. There were some decent moments. But yeah, this was not enjoyable to me. It was kind of, it was just very unpleasant to listen to. The first track is called Renaissance, and I actually think this is probably the best song on the album. It's not something I'm going to be listening to again, but I thought it was pretty solid. I thought it was very solid. M's flow, fire. The rhymes, fire. But that's pretty much it. I didn't care for the production. Yeah, and by the way, I've only listened to this album in full once. I've heard this particular song maybe like 2 or 3 times. But yeah, it was cool to see the Tragedy Gaddafi shout out, the Arrested, even though I never really got into Arrested Development, the Arrested Development shout out, Cellar Dwellers and Wise Intelligent. That was pretty cool. At one point towards the end of the track, he's like, he complains about people complaining about bad albums, I guess, or not liking albums. He says this, I'm not going to read it out loud. I just found it very funny how he like shoehorned Joyner Lucas into the conversation. Eminem has to be the biggest Joyner Lucas fan on the planet, because like, why, like, nobody thinks about Joyner Lucas anymore. Like, who's still listening to Joyner Lucas in 2024? Like, why is he still holding on to Joyner Lucas? I mean, he raps fast. What else is there? That's the type of shit Eminem's into, I guess. Track 2 is called Habits. This may be my least favorite song on the album. And it's indicative of my overall stance on this Slim Shady character in 2024. I've never actually listened to a Tom MacDonald's song, but this is pretty much what I would expect to hear if I did. This is, to me, what I feel like Tom MacDonald's music probably is. You know, Eminem's whining about being canceled, about Gen Z, about pronouns, about people with dwarfism. So here's my thing. A lot of the songs on this album are spent making fun of trans people. And I know the M fans who watch this video are gonna be like, "Oh, you're just sensitive. He's just making jokes. It's not that big. It's not that serious. It's not that deep, bruh." Basically, this is the same issue I have with Dave Chappelle in 2024. I remember I criticized Dave Chappelle on Twitter, and some guy responded. He's not just some guy. He's actually an artist that I'm I consider myself a fan of. I think he's very talented. But he responded and he was like, "He's just telling jokes, bruh. That's what he does. He just tells jokes." First of all, they're barely jokes. Like, I think my response to him was jokes are supposed to be funny, but I actually take that back. Funniness doesn't make a joke a joke. A joke can still be a joke and not be funny. It's just a bad joke. And that's the thing with Dave Chappelle. The intent is there. He was intending for them to be jokes. They're just not funny. And even if they were, I would still have an issue with them because they're targeting trans people. And the thing is, the reason I have an issue making fun of trans people, it's the same reason I have an issue making fun of black women or making fun of indigenous people. I'm not saying it's good to make fun of any other group, because there are other disenfranchised groups that are experiencing a lot of harm from being made fun of and stuff. I don't agree that a joke is harmless, because the thing is, the people who laugh at these jokes, whether they know it or not, are subconsciously being affected, and you're going to have biases. These jokes contribute to real world rhetoric and the ways that people think about these groups of people. You know, making fun of a trans person or someone who uses pronouns, even though literally every single human on the planet uses pronouns. Transphobic jokes, transphobia contributes to real world violence that's being committed against trans people. It's contributing to a line of thinking, to a narrative that actively harms trans people. Same thing with black women, same thing with indigenous people. So it's not just a harmless joke. That's my thing. That's why I don't personally rock with that kind of stuff. But yeah, my conclusion after listening to this album and this song in particular, Habits, is that Eminem might actually be the whitest guy on the planet. He is like the epitome of whiteness to me at this point. I feel like Eminem is the average white man. And the average white man, you know, may have been anti-Trump, which I don't even know if that's true, but the average white man may have been anti-Trump. But what really about Trump did they not like? Because, like, this is basically MAGA rap without the pro-MAGA sentiment. That's how I feel about this. This is edgelord rap. I'm 25, okay? I'm not 16 anymore. So this type of shit isn't enjoyable for me. You know, people who've been following my blog since 2014, back when I was 16 years old, you may remember, I used to be a big fan of Tech Nine. He's not really guilty of the edgelord shit. I mean, he is, but not like in an offensive way. He is edgy without being offensive, if that makes sense. He's not a troll. That's what I'm trying to say. But Tech Nine, his music is fucking horrible. But even I used to, you know, be impressed by the fast rap shit. Eminem starts rapping fast at the end of Habits, and at that point I was just like, okay, yeah, this is one of the worst songs of the year. The other song on this album that I think is up for That spot is called Road Rage, featuring Sly Piper and Dem Joints. Road Rage and Habits are my two least favorite songs on this album. Two of the worst songs I think Eminem has ever made. Two of the worst songs of the year. How many fucking times did he mention Caitlyn Jenner on this album? What is that about? What is the obsession with Caitlyn Jenner about? Again, I'm not going to talk about every single track, but Trouble. Okay, I'll go through the track list and talk about the songs I hated and songs I didn't hate as much. So Renaissance I thought was solid, probably my favorite track. Habits, dog shit song. Trouble, terrible song. Brand new dance, pretty bad. Evil, also pretty bad. All You Got Is a Skit. Lucifer, pretty bad. Antichrist, I did not hate Antichrist as much as most of the other songs. I didn't like it at all, but I didn't hate it. It was just like whatever, you know. Like I was indifferent towards it really. There were things about it that I did hate. The way the first verse starts, terrible. The bizarre verse at the end. Why is this guy around? Why? What is it about Bizarre that Eminem... Bizarre is like the worst parts of Slim Shady, and that's just him. Like, that's all he has. It's just the bad parts of Slim Shady. Houdini. Okay, Houdini was the lead single. I remember when it came out, everyone was like, holy shit, this is terrible. I actually didn't feel that way. I thought it was, you know, I didn't like it, but I didn't think it was, Eminem has much worse stuff than that. I'll say that. And it's actually one of the better songs on the album, I think. With that said, I do think it's bad, like, musically. And there were some... Okay, yeah, it's a bad song. It's nowhere near Eminem's worst. And it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be when people were talking about how the lead single for this Eminem album was trash. The Black Eyed Peas reference, I saw people were like, this is terrible. I didn't think that line was that terrible. I thought it was kind of, you know, obviously he wasn't taking it too seriously. And I think that line was fine. It was kind of funny. I mean, it wasn't that funny, but, you know, it wasn't like eye-rollingly terrible or whatever. Guilty Conscience 2 is where the concept of the album really comes together. And when this song came on, I realized the concept of the album is that it's a bad album. He just goes full edgelord troll on this album. And the whole concept is that I'm not really saying the shit, Slim Shady's saying it. And, you know, this really reminded me of the psychotic episode that I had in late 2017, early 2018. I remember I would just say, some of you may remember this, I would say outrageous, ridiculous, offensive shit. And then I would say, no, I didn't say that. My alter ego, Padlock Jones, said that. Let me know if you guys remember Padlock Jones. That was my alter ego. Here's a picture of the profile picture that I had on my Padlock Jones Twitter account. I now have another troll account, which I encourage all of you to follow. His name is Cliff Cuxtable, and his handle on Twitter is WalkAbuser69. Follow Cliff Cuxtable. I really like that account. But yeah, anyway, after Guilty Conscience 2, we get Head Honcho, another mid song. This one features Easy Mill. I have no idea who the fuck this guy is. Like, I know he's signed to Eminem last year and they had a song together. Nothing about this guy stands out whatsoever to me, at least in a positive way. At one point, he started rapping in a different language, and I had to go to Google Translate to detect the language he was rapping in, because for whatever reason, Genius didn't feel the need to tell us what language that is. Genius constantly letting me down. Do better, Genius, or at least people who contribute to Genius. But yeah, it's Tagalog, the native language in the Philippines, or one of the native languages in the Philippines. So I guess he's Filipino. So that was kind of interesting. I mean, I didn't really enjoy it, but it was like, okay. And then I thought Eminem's verse at the end wasn't bad. See, at this point, the album gets significantly less terrible, because like the Slim Shady character is dead at this point. I think he dies at the end of Guilty Conscience 2. Yeah, the album starts off really horrible, and then it sort of recovers a little bit, I guess, towards the end. After Head Honcho, we get Temporary. This is another pretty solid song, I think. It's not something I'm ever going to have the desire to listen to again, because, first of all, I will never understand Eminem's affinity for Skylar Grey. What is that about? Like, seriously, why is Skylar Grey on so many Eminem albums? And in 2024, like, who do people even know who Skylar Grey is anymore? Like, why is she here? Anyway, I didn't dislike the song at all, really, because if you know me, you know emotional impact. That's like my main thing these days. This song is very heartfelt. It's actually very sweet. Eminem basically made this song as a message to his daughter Haley, and it's like, the message is, when I'm dead and gone, listen to this song, and this is my message to you from the afterlife, basically. And it's very, very emotional. I don't care for it at all musically, but I think I really appreciated the what he was trying to accomplish here. And I think if I was Haley, this would be an incredibly special song to me. And honestly, I just wish M would... I'm sorry about that. It sounds like someone's like cutting grass or some shit. I'm outside in my front yard. But anyway, I think Eminem would benefit from basically taking things more seriously like he did here. Stop trying to be funny, because it falls flat pretty much every time. This is the direction I would like to see him go in. Not musically, but lyrically. Musically, I did not fuck with this song at all, which is why it's just okay to me. But yeah, not a bad song. It's followed by Bad One. I did not like Bad One. Mostly because of the hook from White Gold. That was another thing. White Gold was featured on Habits. He was featured on Habits. I did not like Habits at all. I hated the hook. I also hate the hook from White Gold on Bad One. The song Bad One is a bad one. But anyway, it's followed by Toby. Toby was the second single from the album, featuring Babytron and Big Sean. I remember when I heard the snippet from this, I was like, oh, this is about to be trash. The Tobey Maguire got bit by a spider. That shit corny, bruh. That shit sounded goofy as fuck. I will admit, when I listened to it in the context of the full song, it wasn't nearly as bad to me. I think this is an okay track. I really don't dislike this song. I even really liked M's verse. I think M had a really good verse on this song. Particularly the Melly Mel line. I remember I had a pretty visceral reaction the first time. God damn. Oh my god, I hope you can hear me. That might actually ruin this video. Toby was not bad at all. I just really didn't like the production. I think if the production was better, I might have fucked with that song, to be honest. And then Somebody Save Me. I did not like Somebody Save Me. I liked it lyrically. I did not like it musically. And that's about as good as I can say about this album. I liked some tracks lyrically, but musically I didn't like a single song. And lyrically, a lot of the songs I was not a fan of. I'm hoping that the next album from Eminem will be much more serious now that he's done with the whole Slim Shady thing. As much as I dislike Eminem post 2002, I want to see Eminem win. Okay? It doesn't feel good when a legend in your culture is just constantly embarrassing themselves. I don't like seeing Eminem lose. You know, I want to like Eminem because he's not talentless. He has talent. He just needs to, well, I'm not gonna say what he needs or needs to not do, but this was a very bad album. It's definitely not the worst album I've heard in 2024. Is it the worst album I've heard from a legend in 2024? Maybe. It might be. Oh, I forgot to... I missed a few tracks when I was going through the track list. Fuel featuring J.I.D. I did not like at all. I saw people hyping up the J.I.D. verse. It sounded like a typical J.I.D. verse. And, you know, I used to like J.I.D. a lot. I'm not really a big fan anymore. I do think The Forever Story is a very good album. Definitely his best album. But other than that, I'm not really crazy about any of his projects. I actually did like DiCaprio 2 a little bit. I thought The Never Story was okay. And the thing is, the first time I listened to The Never Story, I thought it was amazing. But I went back to it like a year or two ago, and I was like, why did I used to like this so much? It's another one of those things like Joyner Lucas. Like, yeah, he raps fast. And in J's case, at least he's like sonically, musically, not terrible. He's actually pretty good musically. But lyrically, I just don't really get much out of J.I.D. The shit he raps about just doesn't interest me that much personally. So, but he's not bad. He's definitely not a bad rapper. He's very talented. He's just not really for me. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this album. This video is about half an hour before editing. I'm going to be honest, I wanted it to be shorter than this, but I expected it to be longer. Also, don't expect more videos like this. I don't do album video reviews, despite my coverage of the biggest beef of the year. Oh yeah, I will say, in general, I don't really listen to Eminem anymore. I loved the Marshall Mathers LP and the Slim Shady LP back when I first started the Eminem marathon. I still go back to a couple tracks from MMLP, but other than that, I don't really listen to Eminem. I haven't listened to really any of his albums since I reviewed them. My favorite Eminem thing to listen to in 2024 is honestly the feature he did on Lord Above by Fat Joe and Dre. I believe this came out towards the end of 2019. And I don't even like that song as a whole. I used GarageBand to edit out the parts of the song I don't like. So now it's pretty much just the Eminem verse. But that verse is incredible. And if Eminem released an album of that type of quality, it would automatically become his best album to me. and honestly, one of the best albums of the year. In any year, to be honest, because it's really that great to me. So I'm hoping we get some shit like that someday. I'm not expecting that at all, but it would be very cool. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Legalize it, don't demonize it. Stay keefy, my brothers and sisters. And as always, peace out.
It's totally surreal.